if you haven't seen Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, we're going to be talking about some pretty heavy spoilers, of course.
Stop it now.
Yeah, go ahead and get out of here, you crazy kid. And don't worry if you're worried about missing out, because we're, like we said, recording a second podcast tonight. So we'll have something else for you to listen to. But for those of you who are sticking around, let's talk Star Wars. Dylan and I have both been Star Wars fans for a long time. Dylan and I have a lot of similarities, and it's kind of like...
It's funny.
If you sit down and think about it, it's kind of... We both love The Flash.
We both love The Flash. We both worked at pizza places.
Yeah, and then moved to movie theaters.
Yeah, we work at... Yeah, from there we went to movie theaters. You know, and we saw... We saw The Lighthouse together, and then we saw 1917 together, and we both had very similar views on those. And then Star Wars happened, and we just completely
polar opposites.
Yeah,
and it's interesting.
Just complete opposites.
John, like me, loved The Rise of Skywalker, especially coming off of The Last Jedi.
Let me say this.
You can't.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Before we get a little too deep into this, I did like the movie a lot.
Okay. I have not seen any other Star Wars movie.
I'm excited to see the others.
Okay, so you just... Wait, how many have you seen?
He's seen all of them. He was joking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no. But I really like the movie. But I am not interested in a 2-on-1 debate here. So I think I am best forming my opinions as kind of a moderator here.
That's fine. That's what I was going to try and set you up as.
Because I don't like arguing nearly as much as you do.
Right.
It's like a second language for you,
Debating
just arguing in general.
Sometimes.
So I am just going to let you two, obviously I'm going to still talk. I'm going to let you two go at it, though, and I'm just going to try to...
If we seem to hit a point where we just cannot come to an agreement, we'll shoot to you and be like, John, what do you think?
And you're just going to be on my side.
Yeah. Okay. So, we're talking... This is movie number... 9, right.
Yeah.
Technically in the series, yeah.
I never think it... Well, I never really think of it. That's why I was like... Anyway, movie number 9. It's supposed to be the last, major hitting Star Wars film. Of course there's going to be more, obviously.
Right. But having to do with the Skywalker
quote
bloodline
unquote
and everything.
end of an era.
Yeah.
I thought it kind of could have ended at Return, and I really think that this sequel trilogy, I think that's something we're all thinking about. This sequel trilogy is something that did not really need to happen, nor did it need to happen the way that it did. But it's what we got. It's what we're working with. There's a lot of really good plot points just throughout the trilogy that, with all the what's the word I'm looking for? Just cut this.
I will. It's all right.
Inconsistencies.
Okay.
Or even the consistencies. Things like, I think the basic thing that you can stretch, which is mainly just how characters relate to each other and blah, 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 throughout the sequel trilogy. There's a lot to love about it.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I think the Ben Solo story needed to be told. I'm not sure if it needed to be told this way. But this is what we have. So, Force Awakens, I thought, was a great film. Then we got The Last Jedi, and then leading to Rise of the Skywalker. So, take it away.
Okay, Dylan.
I'm sorry. I just want to give a preface to the movie and the conversation.
That's fine. I appreciate that because I had no idea how to launch into this. You want to go point by point throughout the movie and talk about what you didn't like, or do you just want to just jump right in?
I think
look at it as a whole and just jump around to whatever comes to brain.
I think we can just kind of jump it around. Whenever I get the chance, I'm gonna try and go point by point, which is kind of in order of everything that went through the movie.
Okay.
But I don't care what order. Either way, I'm still gonna be right. So.
Oh, is that all right? All right, we'll start off. You've got the whole list in front of you. Mm-hmm. You got mad because I looked at it. What's on the list?
Okay, so number 1 is the opening crawl.
Yeah.
The opening crawl of the film. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is something we all know. Every opening crawl is something that leads you up to the point at to which the movie starts. It
Right.
catches you up on things that have happened because time has passed. Like in Revenge of the Sith, it was like, oh, the Chancellor's been kidnapped. That didn't happen in the last movie, Episode 2, but we just know that they're saying, oh, the Emperor was kidnapped, the Chancellor was kidnapped, everything. You're like, okay, so this is where we are, this is what we're doing. The opening crawl opened that, right? It said, Palpatine's returned. And,
the dead speak.
Yeah, the dead speak, all this stuff. But then, even though it said it, they still decided to show it, even though they already said it in the opening crawl.
They didn't show it in the movie. The whole thing they talked about in the opening crawl happened in Fortnite.
Like, they were like, oh, Palpatine's returned, and then literally the first opening scene, not first opening scene, but the very beginning of the movie, Kylo Ren found out that Palpatine was alive, the dead spoke, and then the Resistance was like, oh, Palpatine's alive, and it's like, okay, so why did the opening crawl have to explain it all if it was just going to show us in the first place?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the opening crawl was like, there was a message that went across the entire universe from Palpatine, and everyone could hear it, and so now we know he's alive. And the opening scene of
but they didn't know that in the
Kylo Ren, I'm pretty sure. No, the very first shot is panning down and then showing Kylo Ren hunting for the Sith thing so he can go find Palpatine and kill him. He's like, okay, I know he's alive. Let me go murk this guy.
I don't know if he knew Palpatine was alive. I think that he just found the map, and and then Palpatine purposely led him to the map, Darth Vader, and he found the map, and then it kind of just led him there.
He knew because there was the thing that went across the entire galaxy.
That happened before all that,
right? In the opening crawl.
I'm working on bringing up the opening crawl. It's really hard to get because I don't have good internet right now.
Okay.
No, that's... But I will you're kind of jumbled in the timeline. It was... Okay. In the beginning of the film, he found out... He went to the world and Palpatine thing. It wasn't until, I think 20 or 30 minutes more into the movie that Palpatine sent out the signal to everybody, and they were like, oh, he's alive.
What? No.
Okay, so the opening crawl reads this. Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine.
No,
I'm reading
you're wrong still. Go ahead. Keep reading. You're wrong. Don't be... You're still wrong. You're still wrong. Just keep reading it. Stop dancing.
General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence while Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, trains for the battle against the diabolical First Order. Okay, so...
No. But then...
So far...
It still decided to show the guy giving him the message, the secret spy or whatever. The spy gave someone, the Resistance fighter, it, and then he gave it to them, and then they all just went and did exactly what it already said in there.
Well, it says Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence.
No.
So it's them.
It says Leia Organa.
Let me read it because I think you're photoshopping things.
What? Listen, I'm the mediator. I'm here to validate both sides.
Okay, but it didn't. Okay, I guess I'm a little wrong there. But still, why did they have to go through all that if they already knew he was alive? Then why did they have to get the message to find out that he was alive, even though they already knew he was alive?
In the Phantom Menace, they talked about trade agreements, and the whole beginning of the movie is them showing up to go discuss trade agreements with the...
But it said they sent people there, and then the opening crawl was them sending people.
Just call them CIA,
there.
Trade Federation.
And then and then this one is them talking about Leia sent people off to find information. The beginning of the movie is them bringing the information back.
But the information was already known that Palpatine was alive. The information was that Palpatine was alive, but they already knew Palpatine was alive.
I don't think it's that he's alive. I think it's where is he?
No, why would they know where
they want to know where he is. That's the thing.
But why would it be telling them where he was if the whole movie was about Rey trying to go and find a map?
That's exactly... They're trying to figure out how to find him. And then the intel they bring back is there are these old Sith things, the little prisms, and that we have to find those in order to find Palpatine.
So continuing the crawl... Meanwhile, the Supreme Leader, Kylo
There's
Ren...
more?
Yes.
Oh, you stopped like that was the whole thing.
Well, I was pausing as
okay.
Paragraphs.
All right, fair.
Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rages in search of the Phantom Emperor, determined to destroy any threat to his power. So that's just saying he's searching.
Wait, what?
Do we see the same movie?
We did see the same movie.
Menace. He's like, and what was up with that guy at the end with the double-bladed red lightsaber? What did he have to do with anything?
Where was Darth Maul?
As mediator, I think I have to say your first thing about them saying things and then showing them, it's a little bit far-fetched because they basically set up things, like they set up 3 little scenes basically. Going to find the intelligence.
They told it
Rey
just
training,
3 times then.
Kylo Ren going to try to kill the Emperor.
I don't think he tried to kill the Emperor, but yeah, He
definitely tried to kill any threat to his power. He tried to kill the Emperor.
I think...
He went there to go do that.
No, I think he went there just to find him.
He thinks he's the top
I don't know the real reason why he went there, because there was just a bunch of plot holes in the film.
It tells you in the opening crawl. It tells you
that he went. I think you guys are wrong. Okay,
what
mediator? No, mediator. I call for a recount. Okay, I think no.
You're allowed to. Okay, you're allowed to argue why you think that, but
I know. No. I think that I am wrong in this sense, but it still is showing the exact same thing about 3 times. About they found out that Palpatine could be alive, so then they went to get a map to find out how Palpatine is alive, and then they said, "Hey, Palpatine is alive," and then they all went to go find Palpatine. It was it was confusing enough to at least make me confused about that.
It does not seem to be a difficult thing to do.
Are you one of those kids that hates math because you're not good at math?
No.
Or because
math
for
information, I'm really good at math. Okay, I'm really good at math. Okay, never mind. Next point.
Next point.
I'm gonna skip this one. Okay, Palpatine's stupid plan. Okay, let's talk about a stupid plan.
Okay.
His plan was to create Rey so that he could essentially send or make Snoke to make Kylo Ren, to get Kylo Ren to go after Rey, to get both of them there, when he probably could have just made someone pretend that they were Rey's dad and just bring her there.
So we talked earlier about you making the film, right? Mm-hmm. This relates, I swear. You talked about how not everything goes the way that you want it to, of course, but you still have a set of things that you need to get done that day. Mm-hmm. And despite the obstacles, you're still like, okay, I got to get this shot. I have to get these specific things so I can go home and edit them tonight or whenever, because I have to be ready for the next day of shooting. Okay, there's not really a time to break. And I think Palpatine's plan was a lot like that. It wasn't exactly, I'm going to do this, and this, and this, and that. I don't think he was expecting Rey's parents to be like, I'm not giving you my kid, and I don't think he was, I think there was a lot that happened that he was like, that wasn't supposed to happen, but I've been sitting and hiding, doing nothing but thinking and working for 30 years so I can overcome this and keep reaching my final goal. His initial goal is to find somebody to be his successor. And it doesn't matter whether it's Rey or Kylo Ren, it's just whichever's going to come to him, whichever's going to be easier to seduce. And so I think everything that happens in between then is just him being like, all right, that was a wrench in my plans, got to work with it.
So he sent, so his, what do you call it, improvise of the plan then was to send an Uber driver. What was his name? The bounty hunter that was supposed to kill Rey, that they were searching.
Oh, I forgot his name.
You know what I'm talking about, right? His name was like Cho or something like that. The Jedi bounty hunter that he sent out. Basically, he was going after Rey to kill her, even though Palpatine needed her, but he sent her out to kill Rey. So he tracked down her parents and said, "Hey, I need them. Where are they?" And they had just left Jakku, right? So like they had just left Jakku where they had left Rey, and so they're like, they literally said, and I quote, Rey's not on, or she's not on Jakku, after they just left Jakku. And so he was like, oh, why don't I believe you guys? So she must not be actually on Jakku then.
That's fair. He was just like, all right, well, where is she?
Yeah, and then he just killed them after they said she's not on Jakku, and then he just kills them with the knife that he was given by the Emperor that just so happened to be a map to the Death Star of where this holocron is.
Right.
That didn't make sense whatsoever. So I don't understand how his plan was meant to succeed when he just had all this stuff going on.
His plan is to be the Emperor, right? Is to be the most powerful being, and of course raise another Sith, because Darth Vader ended up being not what he wanted at all.
I think the way it's laid out is he wants everybody to think, like he wants it to come off as like it's a long like scheme. Like I planned this from the beginning, even way back in the Republic. But really, it's just kind of like Plankton when he gets to like his filing cabinet. He's like, "All right, evil plan Z. We're going for Rey."
I know what you
know. I think it was a lot like
it's
that.
It's a lot like that. Like I think you're both kind of right and wrong in the sense of like he's really just kind of working with what he's got at this point. He's just like,
well, it was
somebody's
an awful
gotta fucking
plan.
Kill me. Or make me stronger.
Well, that just proves the theory that it was a stupid plan then, because he was just kind of improvising as he went, and
I think
he's supposed to be this all-powerful
being. He had the end goal in mind, right? And no matter what happened in between, he was like, it doesn't matter, I can deal with this. It was like, I want to get these shots today, somebody didn't show up, whatever, I'll shoot all the scenes that they're not in. You know? I think it was something like that. Mm-hmm. It was just changing it in the middle, but still working toward the end goal of either, you know, like John said, let me get stronger, or let me be killed by somebody more powerful than me.
Why did he need... So why didn't he just somehow find a way for Rey to find the Jedi holocron, or the Sith holocron, and travel it there just to see what was happening, and then just take her and Kylo there, instead of sending out a Snapchat story about how he's alive, and then...
Well, because, he didn't know where Rey was at first.
Not on Jakku.
Right, not on Jakku, yeah. Which was dumb of him. So I think he definitely didn't know where she was at the end point, and was like, all right, I'm going to send this out because this is going to knock everything into motion. Maybe.
It still was a dumb plan. It was... It could have been done so much better. Like, instead of... Like, I don't know why he had to pull out, like, files to see, I'm going to do this plan today, when he could have just... done something as simple as make someone pretend to be her father, or if like Luke and them are so powerful, but Palpatine is so much more powerful than them, like 100,000 times more powerful apparently, and Luke can travel across an entire galaxy and even fight Kylo Ren across an entire galaxy, why shouldn't Palpatine be able to do something of that same sort? Or there's so many different ways he could have went about it, instead of send them on an Easter egg hunt. And
well, it's not like it's like the Wizard of Oz where he's like looking into a well that reflects wherever he wants to see, and he's like sending monkeys after him and shit.
That basically was it, though. Like for some reason, his Force couldn't sense Rey from across the galaxy. Like he couldn't sense where Rey was, even though that he definitely has the power to do that. But for some reason, the Force is disconnected from her, even though they're family.
Well, I don't think you can sense to do half the things in the book. So.
I don't think. I don't think anybody has the Force ability to sense where somebody is across the galaxy. I mean, even Darth Vader couldn't sense Obi-Wan Kenobi until he was on the Death Star with him, and he was like, "Whoa!"
Well, he just did a really good job at cutting himself off from the Force and keeping that away.
Oh, but Kylo Ren, Darth Sidious is super powerful. Kylo Ren couldn't just sense where he was. He had to go find the Sith holocron. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, I'm calling it the Sith
Jedi
holocrons
are
not the Jedi. It's definitely like a Sith map or something like that. I don't think it's a holocron, but it's definitely just like it looks like a holocron for some reason.
That's what I'm thinking. It's just let's just move on because we're gonna beat this horse to death.
Another thing is, this is a small thing, doesn't really matter. Why did Kylo Ren try and connect with the Vader mask and talk to Vader after he just found out that Palpatine was Vader's voice in all the other rest of the movies? Like he just found after he found out that Palpatine was the voice in his head of Vader and Snoke and all this stuff, he went up to his he was in a ship and he touched the Vader mask and was like, "I will complete what you started," whatever. He's now at this point he's basically just talking to something completely dead. He doesn't actually have a voice because he just found out that it was Palpatine pretending to be Vader's.
But we knew it didn't have a voice in the first place, like from The Force Awakens, because like Darth Vader doesn't exist. Anakin Skywalker he's good, right? So we know Anakin wasn't like Force ghosting, like, yeah, now go kill this guy. You know, he wasn't doing that.
But still, why did he go up to the mask and try and connect with it and be like, I'm still going to finish what you started? You know, because we know he was good. And we just found out that Palpatine was pretending that Darth Vader was bad, or making Kylo Ren think that Darth Vader was now still bad.
Right.
And after he just knew all that, he still went up and tried to see it as a sentimental object of that he could still hear his voice or something. I feel like they just like wrote that scene, and then when they decided to change up the script for however many times they decided to change it, they still kept that scene in because they weren't thinking about it at the time.
We might have to end up cutting this, not this whole thing, but what I'm about to do. So give me a second.
She's gonna come back with Blackface. Like, now we can continue. This feels right. Forcing you to cut it by not talking to it.
That's my dog.
Okay.
For those of you that can't see, which is absolutely every one of you, Trevor just walked away from the microphones to retrieve a box that says "In loving memory of," what is that, Zoe Bella?
Zoe Bella. It's my dog.
It's your dog.
I grew up with her.
Why did you just grab your dog's, what I can presume is their ashes?
It is her ashes. Because while I don't come home from, you know, wherever I'm going every day and be like, hey Zoe, how are you? You know, I still will sit down and think about my dog that I grew up with, my best friend that I grew up with, and think about just everything that happened.
Finish chewing that milk bone that you started.
I keep her in my room, okay? And every now and again, also, we had this dumb thing where I would pretend to do like a news forecast as a kid. I'm essentially telling you where it's going. There's no like end goal. The whole point is just sometimes people have objects that comfort them. And if I were sitting here and some guy showed up and was like, oh, by the way, here's the proof. I accidentally put some other dude's dog in your dog's jar. I would go straight to this and be like, no.
Well, that wasn't his reaction, though. He was still talking to it as if it was his
well, right, at that point, finish what he started is killing Palpatine.
You also got to put yourself in Kylo Ren's position here, because leading up to this, he killed Snoke. So, in his own mind, he's like, I'm the Sith Lord. I'm ruling the First Order. All this is mine. I'm the supreme power in the galaxy. And then fucking Emperor Palpatine comes walking in, and he's like, I'm not dead. And then he gets pissed, and then going and find this, Palpatine proposes him with, like, I have all these fucking Star Destroyers with planet-destroying weapons and shit. And
that's another problem.
Now you're going to be...
That's not a problem.
Like,
if you had nothing but, like, a bunch of followers...
What I'm talking about
everything
is,
you're
like,
saying is just, like, triggering, like, all this stuff.
I'm just reciting what was in the movie. But what I'm saying is basically, he's got this in mind. Palpatine shows up. He goes and talks to Palpatine with the full intention to just kill him and eliminate him and be like, I'm that guy, you know? I'm the Sith. And then after he talks to Palpatine, now he's literally got like 5 different paths he can go. Like, I can say, fuck Palpatine, fuck Rey, fuck it all. I'm going to keep being Sith leader, blah, 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 go forward. Probably deal with one of the army of fucking Star Destroyers that came, zombies and shit, whatever. Or he could choose to be, go with Rey, maybe do the right thing for once, or he could choose to go with Emperor. So it's like, when he's in that spot talking to that helmet, he is so extremely conflicted by so many things, because he just feels like, of course, there's the balance of like dark and light that's constantly pulling away at him, but then he's also like fucking like, I have all this other subplot to deal with, and these fucking Star Destroyers that came out of the ocean. I don't even know what the fuck just happened.
And he's been looking.
He does have a lot.
He's been looking to this thing for comfort ever since he first started becoming a Sith. His whole thing was, I don't know where I'm at. My uncle just tried to kill me in a tent. So,
but he just realized that his grandfather wasn't actually talking to him. So why would he go to an object that was clearly the person that just revealed that he was the guy behind everything?
Because it's still the image for what he stood for. As far as Kylo Ren knows,
but he still talked to him in the way as if like he was just saying, I'll finish what you started. And I think...
And that just ruined your entire childhood?
No.
That just ruined it for you,
Now, again, like
movie?
I said earlier, this is a small thing that I can deal with. But, see, he didn't know that Darth Vader turned good or whatever. So I know that he thinks he's bad and everything.
Well, he knew. There's no way his parents were like, oh yeah, Darth Vader? He's still around there.
He's still bad.
There's no way Han and Leia were like that.
I still think his reaction towards it and why he decided to go through that whole scene was not good. It wasn't right for the whole situation. After he just learned that everything that he knew of was all just Palpatine. He didn't even have really a reaction to it. He just he didn't feel sad. Like you guys are saying, he felt conflicted and everything. But I didn't see that in him in the film at all. We can make guesses all day long, but I didn't see him in the film say it or feel it or look like he was even conflicted at all. He seemed like he was still just trying to carry on, like he had his life figured out still. He wanted to let Rey join him and take over and have both of them kill Palpatine and have both of them rule the galaxy. That was his plan. He wasn't really conflicted with anything. From what I gathered, it didn't seem like he was distraught by everything he just found out. It just kind of moved on with the film.
I think that's a case where we're just going to have to agree to disagree, because I see Kylo Ren throughout the course of all three movies trying to figure out, same as Rey, just trying to figure out his place in all this. Just trying to see
where, Kylo Ren is just trying to
out all of the
be
good.
Top.
He's not a Sith like that. He's not like I gotta rise to the top. It's
at least at
he's
the
been
beginning
struggling.
of Rise of Skywalker, he is. He didn't start out that way.
Well, right, because at the end of The Last Jedi, that's where he decided this is where I need to be. But his whole arc throughout the entire trilogy is struggling between the pull to the good and the pull to the bad.
I feel like
that's a conflicted thing that not every single scene has to portray.
I feel like a very small part of him knows that, like, it's as if he's just like a pawn. He's a pawn for the dark side, you know? But then a small part of that also thinks, like, it wouldn't be any different as a Jedi, I think he wants to believe, maybe I'm a little far-fetched with this, that maybe he's a little bit bigger than the Force. And he just wants, not only just that power, but to just get shit straight for once. Because, honestly, I love Kylo Ren, but he's one of the worst Sith Lords. Like, it seems like so much is out of his control. Like, Vader had shit locked down.
I hesitate
Not
to
a
call
lot
him
went
a Sith.
by the Empire.
Because he
but
technically
with the
wasn't a
First Order,
Sith, because the Sith were destroyed,
Right.
Palpatine was the last Sith, so yeah, you're right. I wouldn't call him
hesitate
a Sith.
to
like,
call
the
him like
Empire
a
was
Sith,
an empire.
He was
the
just a
First
bad
Order
guy
is
with a
like
lightsaber.
an army ran by a toddler with a temper.
And see, like, again, like, we can make guesses of what we thought all day long, but I think that just only proves my point even more. It's the fact that it's leaving us with more questions than answers. It's just making us guess how we think it might have gone rather than just...
It's true. It does. I have to admit, The Rise of Skywalker, there's a lot. Just with the
It
whole
left us with
trilogy,
more.
there's a
Only
lot
because
that
they
makes
wanted
you
more
kind of
money.
have to fill in the blanks yourself.
Because they wanted more money, because they want to fill in those gaps later,
Right.
but in, like, Disney Plus and things like that. And while I understand that, I think it was a horrible move, because this was supposed to be the wrap-up. It was supposed to be when everything was supposed to come, maybe not full circle, but at least have a wrap-up. Because I went into this movie thinking, the trilogy hasn't been that good, but I'm going to watch this movie, and I'm going to like it, because this is the last of my entire childhood, the last of everything. I'm just going to accept it for what it is, and I'm going to just accept that it just wraps everything up. But the thing is, it didn't wrap anything.
I think it was on its way to wrapping everything up. First, J.J. Abrams should have helmed the entire trilogy, the entire thing, because I think the only reason it didn't wrap things up.
Agree completely on.
The only things it didn't wrap up was stuff that he couldn't completely paint over that Rian Johnson ruined. I think if I don't think there would have been any question, and he even put in a lot of deleted scenes that answer a lot of the questions that we have, like how is Palpatine still alive? How and gives us an explanation more than the dark side of the Force is a pathway to abilities some would consider to be unnatural.
Which in the past is very ironically how I've always used like to fill in plot holes. Like when they were talking about like either the prequel trilogy or the original trilogy, and people are like, well, what about this? I'd be like, the fucking dark side, man. You won't understand it. Don't try to. I loved nothing more that they just used that as the caveat at the beginning of the movie to be like, don't fucking ask about it. You know?
Right.
I'm back, bitch. You know?
But yeah, and so I just
keep thinking about it.
I feel like it would have been no issue, and he had to cut out a lot of this stuff for time because Disney wasn't going to be like, okay, you're not releasing like a 3.5 hour movie. You're just not doing it, JJ. Sorry. You know, he had to cut out a lot of it. So he had to cut out essentially what wasn't super essential to the plot.
You know what wasn't super essential to the plot?
What?
Jenna, the stormtrooper. Or
she was essential to Finn's character.
Or the memory wipe, or the Chewbacca's death. Or
memory wipe was definitely kind of uncalled for. And I think, yes, C-3PO made the sacrifice not knowing. And I talked about this in the video I made for you. C-3PO... much like Spider-Man in Infinity War, you know, people were like, oh, why are you upset over his death? You know he's going to come back. Yeah, I do know, but he doesn't. And it's my empathy. The empathy inside of me looks at that decision that C-3PO made and says he, in his brain, was like, I'm going to sacrifice myself for something bigger. And to roll over it, I think, is disrespectful. You know, to C-3PO's character, like, look at this. He was
like, I think there's another way, and then they shut him down. They're like, yep, let's get this over with. Like, let's just do this. And I was like, what? Like, are you serious?
Okay. All right, that's fair.
You want to do next point?
I didn't realize I hadn't thought about that. He was like, oh wait, there. I forgot that he was like, there's another way, and then they're like, boom.
And then he was like, I don't trust R2's memory and the memory thing or whatever. But all of a sudden he did have it, and I was like, okay. My next point was actually Jenna, the stormtrooper.
Was essential to Finn's character, letting him know he's not.
No, I think it really was just a way of showing that Finn wasn't gay. Because of him.
He created a whole character to be like, no homo, though.
Because he had a really good relationship with Poe for a long while there. They seemed like they were getting along just fine. And then they wanted to be like, okay, maybe we should put in some other people in there for him. Kind of there. I thought...
That argument, I have to say, does not pan out at all whatsoever. Because I don't think sexuality matters even in the slightest bit. Especially because, like, it both leading up, I feel like there was a lot of sexual tension between Rey, Poe, and Finn.
Isn't that funny? Because it didn't get wrapped up at all in the film.
Exactly. But Finn maybe found a mate. Poe maybe found a mate.
Everybody ended the film single. And
Rey,
I was like,
for some reason, kissed Ben. That is unexplainable.
Okay,
that was not okay.
Everybody keeps saying that was forced, but I keep thinking, like, all of The Last Jedi, he was like, listen to me. You're nothing, but not to me. I see what's special about you, and I care about you, and I want you to rule the galaxy with me. He did, but he's evil, so he's not going to caress her cheek and be like, hey, you are just everything I have ever loved. I am nothing without you, Rey. He's not going to do that. He's evil.
No.
He's trying to be.
But I think one of the most important things in all those things that I just said is, who gives a shit if they're gay? Because literally in one of the last scenes, like after they win, they all go back to that planet, and very obviously there's a female X-wing pilot that just runs up to another X-wing pilot.
Yeah.
Both female, and they just both start fucking tonguing the shit out of each other, which I thought was amazing too, because like I love when people get triggered by stuff like that. Yeah. Like they're like, it's supposed to be a family film.
Who cares?
Like, who fucking cares? Like, I just love double standards like that. So I love that they added that. It was so prevalent on the screen. It was just so big. So I was like, nobody gives a fuck if Poe and Finn are gay. Nobody fucking cares.
But
also, they both had.
You'd think they'd wrap up the story of their love triangle they have going.
I didn't think it was a love triangle at all.
But you thought it was a love thing between Rey and Kylo?
There was always the tension between them.
I don't think it was like a love.
From
I think
the Force
it was more
Awakens.
like a best friendship.
I think with Finn and
Rey
a little bit.
That's platonic.
Then why did Finn the entire movie say, or when they were about to die, he was like, "This time I never told you." And I know that he ended up saying in tweets that he was wanting to tell him that he was Force sensitive, but it did not come across that way.
It did not come across that way.
All.
I'll give it to you.
The entire film looked like he...
Also, why would he be Force sensitive?
Exactly, and why would he not want to say that around Poe? For some reason, his best friend. There's just they can't defend that at all. I don't know why they decided to say that. They might as well have just said that he had feelings for Rey and just didn't address it, because that would have been better than saying he was Force sensitive.
That whole movie.
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker?
Yes.
No.
At Rey.
He
they
Force
both
Awakens
did.
No, Force Awakens did.
Finn and Poe.
No, Force Awakens he did, and he was
He
like,
did.
"Yeah, boyfriend, cute boyfriend."
Okay.
But
Yeah.
he
Force Awakens.
by the end of it,
really
I'm looking
did.
for my friend Rey. It was by the Last Jedi. It was very obvious that this is a platonic relationship.
Well, he's not going to run around being like, "I'm looking for my girlfriend Rey," and then when they meet up, they're like, "Wow,
they
how long you
obviously
guys been
had
together?"
to be-
And Rey's like, "What?"
They obviously had to be connected in some way, because the entire film, Finn did nothing but sense Rey. All he ever did was yell Rey the entire movie. That's literally his whole subplot of the film, was just to yell Rey the entire movie. But why did he not sense that Chewie wasn't on that ship if he was Force sensitive? But he did notice when Rey was gonna die,
There's
or whatever. He had a connection.
Force sensitive and using the Force.
Well, he didn't use the Force. He just kept he would just get that connection of something bad just happened. But he didn't feel that with Chewie, but he did with Rey.
The same question could be asked, like, how come Leia could sense that Luke was in trouble at the end of Empire, but for some reason she couldn't sense that Darth Vader was her father? That's the same exact question that you just asked. That's not how the Force works, Dylan.
I see your point there, but there's still no reason for that. What? There's still no reason. I don't think that was their intention. I think that is a good guess as to why.
Oh.
But I think that was not their intention to specifically say that's why.
I'm
it was
sure,
just a plot
I'm sure
hole
they did
for them.
not have that in their brain, but I'm just telling you, that's not how the Force works. It's not like Finn being able to barely start tapping into being Force sensitive, like the broom kid at the end of The Last Jedi, because obviously they're trying to hit us in the face with people can be Force sensitive. They don't have to.
And
be
then they
a
did
part
nothing
of the
with
Skywalker.
that.
They're going to with the other spin-off movies because they want to make more movies that aren't about the Skywalkers. They want to reinforce the idea in people's heads that it's like, you don't have to be a part of this one family to be powerful in the Force, you know. But to say that Finn, who is Rey and Poe are the only people, the closest people he's had ever since he left the big, huge stormtrooper indoctrination. You know, ever since he left, like that entire thing, two people have been there for him, Rey and Poe, right? So to say that he can't feel when one of them are dying, or he what am I trying to say? These are the closest thing to family that he has. So he should be able to feel them. Why would he be able to feel Chewbacca? He doesn't feel everybody. He's not. His eyes aren't rolling in the back of his head. Why did he feel so sad
when Han Solo died in Force Awakens when we only saw him for like 15 minutes?
Didn't you?
I felt sad because I knew him, but Finn only knew him for like 15 minutes. Can you imagine if I just
shot John in the head right now? You've known John for an hour and 25 minutes, Dylan.
I'd be like, wow, that was uncalled for. And then I'd probably walk away and call the cops. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, and then just start crying and be like, he was such a friend. He
wasn't crying because he was a friend. He was crying because he was a war hero. And he was like, I know all the legendary things that this guy has done. This is a big deal. And then he just saw him get murked. No. He was like, no.
Rey and Finn both acted like he was like, they knew him for like years. They acted even more emotional than Chewbacca did. Even though I know Chewbacca can't really give a sense of much emotion, but...
can we talk about, real quick, speaking of Chewbacca giving off emotion, when he found out Leia died, how'd you feel about that?
When he just started crawling everywhere and was like, and just started pounding on things.
Making a joke out of it? That broke my heart, dude. That shattered my heart watching Chewie start screaming.
The tone of the movie was off for me. I couldn't feel anything.
Oh, that's so weird.
I couldn't
everything
feel anything.
hit for me. Everything.
When they
every emotional hit, I was like, oh.
When they revealed Chewbacca to be alive, when the doors opened and there was Chewbacca in handcuffs or whatever,
I saw that coming.
well, yeah, because they didn't at all give enough emotion to how he actually died, which I'll talk about in just a second. But he had handcuffs on him, and it showed like it was like John Williams, like dun dun dun, like oh he's there, but it was him just there all sad and stuff, and he's like thinking he's about to die, and I'm like that music does not match the tone of this scene at all. Like I was not getting that vibe that it was trying to give me, I guess. I don't
think visually they were shooting for feel bad for Chewbacca. I think they were shooting for he's alive! He didn't just die in that scene that we just saw.
And yet he was sad. He made no heroic
He may have been sad,
push.
but like
he just stood there. That's not like Chewbacca, I don't think. He just kind of stood there. Like he didn't try and put up a fight or...
Well, I'm sure... I mean, he was just being... All right.
I mean, I guess I can give that to you.
I guess I can give that to you, but I don't see that as much of a gripe as seeing like because we've seen characters feeling sad but been feeling triumphant in the moment because like we've seen in multiple movies in big battles, you know, like Lord of the Rings, The Avengers, other Star Wars movies. There are tons of movies similar to this that have moments where something bad happens, and in the moment we don't feel it, and then it deals with it afterward. Right? We see all of the emotion come flying out of Chewbacca when he gets back and finds out that Leia's dead. He almost died, okay? And now his final of the original, you know, Han, Luke, and Leia, the only one he has left, just died, and he wasn't even there to be there. That's what that scene conveyed for me, and that's why it hit me so hard, because I empathized with what Chewbacca was going through. I looked at him and I was like, ugh, that's gotta be tough for him.
The only thing I was thinking of was she should have died in The Last Jedi.
She should have.
Because that was the worst death for someone like her. And that's why I was more mad.
They had an out, too, when the ship exploded and she was in space. She didn't have to pull herself back.
She could have died there.
It
was the worst death.
Trash The Last Jedi all the live long day, dude.
Can we also talk about, like, I don't think this is, like, much of an inconsistency in the movie, but can we talk about how she basically, like, just took, like, a fistful of pills to make her son turn to the light side of the Force? Because, like, think about it, in the past, everybody going in to be one with the Force doesn't, like, die and then there's a few hours where there's a body and then they fade away. Like, even Yoda passed and then faded. Right. Luke just faded. Obi-Wan just faded. This bitch had to just straight up kill herself and then just lay there and fucking finish dying. And then when the plot resolves...
Yeah, she just laid there. No one touched her. No one did anything.
Fades up into the Force. She also just...
Yeah, like, what was that there about? For like maybe like a couple days or hours.
I remember talking to my dad about that.
Really weird.
I could not explain why they disappeared at the same time.
Because
I could get more behind them disappearing at the same time, but less behind the fact that she was already dead for at least an hour. Yeah. At least an hour.
That part makes sense. But from what I got, the best explanation that I got from it was that I think it said it in The Rise of Skywalker or something else that I saw, but she told Luke that she sensed that the end of her Jedi path would be the death of her son or something like that. And so she gave up her Jedi training and put away her lightsaber, which is why like it was kind of like a symbolism of like, because Kylo died, she can now rest in peace, and she faded away as well, which I think was completely stupid.
But that's the reason. Because you said in your initial video to me trashing this movie that nobody cared about Princess Leia.
You were very upset.
He told me no one cares about Princess Leia. Nobody cares if she was ever a Jedi.
No,
I will pull it up, Dillon.
No, I care about Princess Leia. I don't care about her and her past Jedi training because it had no relevance to the story whatsoever.
Okay,
that could have not happened.
To stop right now.
It could have had
now. I have to get involved because
it had no relevance to the story.
You have such a break in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, where some of the most captivating story with the Skywalker family goes on, where twin brother and sister teach each other how to advance through the Force. She finds out at the end of Return of the Jedi that she's also Force sensitive, and it's obvious. It's obvious that they got down to this. Like, you think he's going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to go teach a bunch of brats how to fucking use this cool saber stick instead of you.
Right.
Because the more Jedi, the better. It's her destiny. It's the Force. It's her destiny to
Why is it her destiny?
Because
she's
a
Jedi.
Jedi.
She's a Skywalker, which debunks your theory about you only have to be... you don't just have to be a Skywalker to be a Jedi. But
Mace Windu wasn't a Skywalker, neither was Yoda.
But could you imagine being a Jedi and be like, no, I'll just be a fucking farmer instead?
No, she was the leader of the rebellion. She was a leader.
She's still got priorities because she is Force sensitive.
The Jedi are not warriors.
Jedi are
yes, they are!
No.
Yes, they are!
Do you know
They're space warriors!
Do you know the origins of the
knights.
Jedi?
Knights!
They decided to join a war for the cause of peace.
Peace, exactly.
This was not...
Your mistake is thinking that warriors... Your mistake is thinking that warrior means I'm going to go out and I'm bloodthirsty.
Yeah, just because he's not a Viking doesn't mean he's not a warrior.
Fighting for what you believe in.
No, there are other people who are Force sensitive, but they didn't try and become a Jedi out in the world. So why should she? Why doesn't she just...
Ezra! Star Wars Rebels!
If you know about the Force and you contain the Force, the midichlorians, odds are you do something with it. Never in Star Wars
history. Because that's how the Force wills it.
But why didn't they do something with it in the movie? Why didn't they do something with it? They just said,
"Yeah, the broom kid."
No. Why didn't they do something with Leia being a Jedi in the movie? They were like, yeah, she used to train the Jedi. All right, let's continue, guys. Let's go out on that adventure. And it's like, here's your lightsaber, and then she just goes and buries it in the sand later. So who cares? Like, that didn't mean anything.
I disagree, because it was her saying, I know what's going to happen to my son, and I just have to put this up until it's time for balance to come again.
You know, she didn't have to have that lightsaber to win that battle, though. Because Kylo Ren died either way. Yeah.
I mean...
So she didn't need that lightsaber either way. And
she
do you
used
know...
it to deflect the lightning back at Palpatine.
If Rey would have just let Kylo Ren die there, Palpatine's plan would have been foiled because he needed both of them. But instead, Rey decided to heal him for some weird reason.
He was already back to his power. He didn't need both of them.
He did. That's why he needed both of them. In the end, he needed both of them there to suck their energy.
He sucked their energy, and then he.
But what I'm saying is, that before all that, when her and Kylo Ren were fighting on the thing, and kind of made it seem like it was a throwback to Revenge of the Sith of Obi-Wan and Anakin when they were fighting the water thing, when she basically killed him, and then she decided to force heal him. If she would just let him die, then the Resistance would have won.
If she would have just let him die, then she would have been that much close. She would have turned to the dark side.
It's not the Jedi way.
She doesn't know what the Jedi way is.
Sure she does. She has the sacred Jedi text!
With Leia.
She has the sacred Jedi text! She's been training Luke Skywalker and Leia!
Nope, ain't wrong.
Wrong.
How could you deny that?
No one cares about Princess Leia's Jedi text.
Opening crawl.
No one
She's learning how to be a Jedi.
Oh no, she's learning how to use the Force.
She's learning
how to use the Force.
Which is the whole thing that Jedi are about. Without the Force, they're nothing.
No, they're a religion. It's not just about the Force.
They're
connected
a fucking
with the
religion.
Force, but okay.
There was no Jedi who weren't Force sensitive. There was no one walking around with a lightsaber who couldn't do a Force.
She could have done just as good of a job without Princess Leia.
Are you telling me that when you saw The Force Awakens, there was not a single bit of you that was disappointed that Leia just forgot about everything that happened and went back to her old life of leading armies?
Wait, say that again?
A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
She was Leia, right? And she was strong, and she was great, and that's great. But then we find out in Return of the Jedi that she has this great, powerful Force ability that she could use.
She's strong in the Force, yes.
That she's very strong in the Force. And you're telling me that in this whole sequel trilogy, you're sitting there thinking, yeah, well, she never did anything with that, and that's okay with me.
I think I would have been happy with that, because...
Really?
Because her character doesn't seem like someone who would want to be a Jedi. It seems like someone who is a natural leader who wants to lead the Resistance or the Rebellion in creating the Republic again and being basically a senator like Princess Amidala was. So, have a kind of political pathway
she can wear
instead
many
of
hats.
But
I was so disappointed, and to find out that she did have Jedi training and she hung it up for a reason bigger than herself, for balance in the Force, I was more than satisfied with that.
But they could have not. If they didn't put that in at all, would you still be thinking anything about Princess Leia other than just she was the?
If they didn't put that in, I would have left the movie being like, wow, they really just did Princess Leia dirty. They really just threw out everything that she had built up toward in the original trilogy.
Well, no, like, what if she just died in like some heroic battle, like the First Order were in there and there was some like really suspenseful moment and she just like either something like that happened, or maybe she just died of old age, of knowing that her son was at peace, that the galaxy was at peace, something like that. Not like just throw in some 10-second subplot about her once becoming a Jedi and then they continue on with the story. And then I feel like they only put that in there just so that they had a reason to distract Kylo Ren from Rey so that she could get that final blow on him and then still force heal him, so that death was for nothing anyways. Because...
It wasn't a death. It's for her. It's her making the decision. My instincts are telling me to go to the dark side, and I'm going to tell them no, and I'm going to do what's right.
You know what the dark side would have done? Finished his ass on that stupid thing and pushed him off the fucking side. She chose the light side.
But the entire movie, she was just angry.
Not only am I gonna... Well, yeah,
that
she's
goes
a Palpatine.
That goes up to another character.
It's
another
in her
thing.
blood.
Her character arc. There was no character arc in this film at all. There was no from someone who was mad and everything, and they're all, she's not okay. She's like Finn was like, we need to watch out for her because she's not in her right mind right now because she just wanted to kill Palpatine, basically. That didn't change. That character arc, there was no, like, she didn't find peace with it or anything, because in the end, she still tried to kill Palpatine, and she was still angry. There was no character arc, so she might as well have just became a Sith in that way.
That's because it's part of a trilogy.
Tatooine.
What do you mean, like, part of a trilogy?
It's her character arc spans 3 movies.
Also, she found peace on Tatooine. She buries the lightsabers. She denounces herself a Skywalker for some reason.
Yeah, so that's another point in here. The name of the film was absolute bonkers, but see, there was a character arc in other films from like the first Force Awakens. She had a character arc from the beginning. She was a scrapper, a nobody, and then she took up a huge role of being this great person in the army and everything. And then in the second one, I can't remember because I only watched it one time because it was pretty bad in The Last Jedi, but. Yeah. I do think she had some sort of character arc where it really wasn't a character arc, it was more of her just learning more. She was just learning more about the Force and,
in The Last Jedi?
And learning that she could create, that she had a chance. And then all of that was just completely destroyed because they basically destroyed the entire Resistance. And then in this film, it was her just, there was no wrap up of that. It was just her being angry, wanting to kill everybody in her path, basically. And they made it a point, they made it just like when we were talking about 1917, when that guy, he kind of gave a foreshadow of it, and then we never got it. Like, that's basically what in this one, there was a foreshadowing of Finn saying she's not in her right mind, we need to be watching out for her, blah, blah, blah. In the end, she was still the exact same person. She was still angry, and she still wanted to, she didn't embrace her Jedi.
Who didn't know her place, right? Who was torn between the light and the dark, and knew that there was the power of the dark side in her. She knew that from The Last Jedi.
She knew there was a power of the dark side, but it was such lazy writing the way they went about it. It wasn't really character arc, and if there were, it was just lazy writing. Because she was like, I'm going to stay here and keep myself off the Force because I could potentially be dangerous. And then she threw a lightsaber, Luke caught it, and he was like, no, you have to embrace your destiny. And she was like, you know what, you're right. Yeah. And then she went off and just was the exact same person. Wanted to kill Palpatine, and Palpatine was like, "She struck me down, and I'll become more powerful than you could possibly imagine." And then she was like, then that's when she was like, "Oh shoot, I came here to kill him, but if I kill him, I give him what he wants." But then she still tried to kill him in the end, and she still did kill him in the end. So it basically just took that entire character arc away.
I'll agree that it doesn't make sense that she killed him, even though her whole thing was, I can't kill him because then I'll turn into a Sith. But I can't say, I cannot agree with you that everything that she went through is pointless and that she has no arc in the film, because she goes from someone rooted in inner turmoil to someone who has inner peace. There's a solid difference in her character at the beginning of the movie, training hard to be good, and then someone who is just actually, naturally, comfortably good.
Not to mention someone who blood-wise is just destined to be a fuck in the galaxy. Just a real asshole. And does not...
It implied that, but it didn't... It implied all of that, yes. That of what you guys are saying. It didn't imply
it was shown.
But it didn't... No, it didn't. It didn't show it.
Yes, it did.
Mm-mm.
Sure.
Yes. They didn't explain it because they had to fit so much stuff.
Are you a baby? Movie. Do you need to be walked through? Someone need to hold your hand? You can see her sitting down trying to meditate, not being able to make a proper connection to the light side.
I can make guesses all day.
It's not a guess.
I can make guesses.
It was what was shown to me in the movie.
In the beginning of the movie, she was there meditating with the rocks, and she was like...
And she couldn't make a proper connection to the Force because of the tearing apart inside of her.
Of something inside of her, but it never really showed what... Like, she never really had any milestone that made her realize that she is just good. There was nothing. And really all it was in the end of the film, some Jedi up in the air decided to say, "We got your back, Rey," and she was like, "Oh my gosh." And then she got up and just killed him.
It was more
than
that.
The entire world.
Every Jedi in history channeled their power through her to help kill Palpatine.
At least they didn't show it, because again, you can make guesses, but all they...
I cannot... make a point to you, Dillon, without you telling me, that's just a guess.
Because that's
You're
the
just
thing.
Making guesses. I'm not making guesses. That's what was portrayed in the movie.
But that's my point of this
I think you went into it wanting to hate it.
No, I did not go into it wanting to hate it. But what I'm saying is that my whole point is that this film literally left more questions than answers, did not wrap up a single thing, and they let you just make complete guesses all day in this film. Like, you kind of have to say, maybe it was this, and I'm okay with that. Like, but no, like, they didn't actually... Like, I'm saying, so technically from your point of view, yes, you would have to be a baby going through this movie, because of the reason that they're not explaining anything enough to you, so they might as well just explain it in complete detail.
I don't think that's true. I think overall, to the overall story, the story that the sequels are telling, the story that the overall Skywalker saga is telling, they give you everything that you need to know to get to the end of the film and be like, all right, great.
No.
All right. Well, we're at an hour and 43 minutes.
Okay, wait, can I explain one more?
But this is twice as long as we normally do.
I want to explain my very last biggest problem.
Okay.
Was that the point is Anakin was he had one prophecy, right? He had a prophecy, and we all can agree that his prophecy was basically to bring order to the balance to the Force, in which by that doing so he in the end he realized he was wrong or something like that, and he killed Palpatine and then killed himself, or didn't kill himself, but he died,
right? And
then that brought balance to the Force.
Yeah.
Now that completely debunked every movie because Palpatine returned. I think that means that because of that, all the movies that we watched, that we loved in our childhood, could have just not happened, and these movies still would have happened because it was its own trilogy, and Palpatine still ended up still being alive, so they still could have done something with that. So basically, they just debunked the entire old series of movies that we saw just because of the fact that Palpatine was alive.
I agree. I'll take that, and I'll even raise it one to agree with you even more, which is the entire original trilogy and prequel trilogy are rendered pointless just by the fact that another Skywalker, Kylo Ren, ended up being like, no, I'm going to be evil again. From that point, everything they did was just worth nothing because there's no more balance in the Force. That being said, I don't think balance in the Force is something that's permanent. I mean, there was balance long before the Skywalkers. I'm sure there'll be more stories to tell after the Skywalkers. But I'll agree that the entire story that the sequel trilogy has gone to tell, I could have just done without entirely. I would have rather had more anthology movies like Solo, given Kenobi an entire movie. But I think within the context of the sequel trilogy, The Rise of Skywalker stands head and shoulders above The Last Jedi and just about even with The Force Awakens.
I don't think that's saying much, but yes.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed sitting down in the theater, watching Luke Skywalker raise his X-Wing out of the water in a very powerful moment.
I didn't like that part.
I enjoyed hearing Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice as Kanan, and Anakin Skywalker, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon Jinn, and Mace Windu, and all of these Jedi that I had known and been familiar with make a small return but not steal the show in order to help defeat the most powerful Sith of all time. I enjoyed sitting down, watching this movie, and just experiencing Star Wars for what might be the last time that I might truly have that experience. I loved it. And I walked out of that movie as big a Star Wars fan as ever.
Palpatine's not the most powerful Sith of all time.
Fair.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Without context, yes, you are right.
Well, that'll have to be good enough. Let's sign off. Let's shake hands. Oh, you got something to say?
Well, yeah. I don't know. I was just trying to regain my thoughts there for a minute. When did you say Troy was... You're shooting for it to be all wrapped up and finished and whatnot?
By the end of this month, the 19th is supposed to be our last filming day, but I don't think it will go a little bit more. But yeah, the end of this month should be... It's done filming. By the end of February, it should be done being edited. So either the end of February or the month after that, more than likely, is when it'll be getting released to the world.
Hopefully February, March area. Where do you think they'll be able to film? Well, we'll just have you come back on when you're done. Maybe we can do another plug for it and talk about it.
Yeah. Because me and Trevor are trying to work out it getting played at Uptown right now. And
nice.
Yeah, they've talked to me before about like if you wanted to have a little premiere of one of your films. So I figure.
And Levi Borland is completely on board with it too.
I would love that, and he knows how. He has definitely the know-how to get that done. So
great.
So yeah,
we should do a live caps off at Uptown.
At Uptown.
To introduce the film.
I was thinking about holding this one here, or this one that we're doing right now at Uptown, but I just didn't want to be there that late, and I didn't want to ask if I can be there that late. So
how cool would it be
to have a bunch of people there arguing about Star Wars with us? That'd be
cool. Just like for the three, because I knew my family was going to be home. I didn't know if they'd like have an issue with me recording in the kitchen. I'll cut this.
Oh, I see. How cool would that be, though? Admit it.
A live podcast at Uptown?
As a way to talk about the films and introduce it. Also,
his film? That'd be great.
Yeah. And, of course, he'll be on the panel.
Right.
And our
I'll be in the audience, like, actually.
You gotta think most of them are local, right?
I got some news for you that you're going to love, and I'll tell you about it when we're off.
We could make this a whole event thing. This could be Megan Hay-like.
It could be.
It could be. I think
it could be.
It's a really good. I think we should look into that.
Dillon,
does that not excite you?
It does. It really does.
I'm sorry. I just felt like I did not get the right reaction.
I'm trying to wrap up. Dillon, it's been a blast talking to you. Even though we disagree about Star Wars, I still love sitting down and talking about it with anyone who will. Mm-hmm. You know, John, I'll see you tonight.
I fucking hate you.
John, you're off the show.
I'm just gonna come back with a different name in blackface.
Guys, this is Jordan. All right,
shake hands because we gotta say it.
Shake Dillon's hand. All right,
thanks for having me.